Welcome, everybody, to Mystical Awakenings here on KGRA Digital Broadcasting Radio, the only radio station you need for all your heart's desires. My big shout out to our producer, Bill Forte, for making us look good and sound good. Thanks, Bill. Tonight, we have a special guest and a special friend on tonight. Before we get started, though, I've played in bands from the late 60s all the way to the mid 90s, 1990s, and writing music. And something I really enjoyed. I miss it, but I've got so much else going on that I just don't do it. I fiddle around here and there, but tonight's guest is a musician who I'd really admire because he's continued his dreams and his hopes, and he's doing really well. And I love his music. But tonight's guest, Mark Jager, is a journalist, an author of several books, including the Mystic Michigan series books, which I think one of them just won an award. We'll get into that a little later. He's also a spiritual songwriter, a singer, a musician dedicated to making music in the 432 hertz frequencies, the way music was intended to be played. He is the creator of the music project Starboard Quest and has written several amazing songs, which you can enjoy at starboardquest.com. And he's also got a couple of books out, and actually a new book too on the Starboard Quest, and it explains, the thought process behind what inspired him to come up with this project. So, without further ado, please welcome my friend, Mr. Mark Jager. Hi, Mark.
Yeah, RJ, good to see you.
Man, it's been a year since we've last done something like this, but I know a year ago we were kicking out a podcast and on YouTube, and really enjoyed doing that with you. But we've kept in contact and we've talked. So how you
Yeah,
doing?
doing well. And yourself?
Good, good, man.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm just waiting for that word March. When I hear the
Oh,
March, yeah. So here in Michigan, we're getting hammered right now with some snow, but that's the way Michigan is. But so let's talk about a little bit about your Mystic Michigan series. When did you start that, Mark?
I started Mystic, Michigan in 1995.
Wow. And it's weird because before I met you, I did this several times. I used to get those books, and I used to get them for Christmas and my birthday, and I actually had some that were signed. I don't know, you must have signed some out there, but if you're in Michigan, you can find them everywhere, and even outside of Michigan, you can find them. But they're really, really cool books because they talk about all kinds of things like paranormal things that are going on in Michigan, mystery spots, um, things that have happened in the past here, strange things and high strangeness. So they talk about everything from UFOs to cryptic to ghosts to all kinds of mystery spots where you can go where maybe the water runs backwards. Uh, Certain sounds that are made. But if you're in Michigan, if you have nothing to do, you grab these books and go out within a 50-mile radius. You can check these places out and have fun with them. So
Yep.
now you had told me earlier that one of these books won an award. How'd that work out?
Well, actually, the books have been turned into film documentaries, some of the stories out of them. And people can watch them on Amazon Prime, pay per view television. And Ferris State University recently did the third episode of it, and that's what won the award. Um, they entered it into the largest competitive, filmmaking, whatever for universities, and it won first place out of the whole United States. So I
Oh
was pretty
wow!
happy working. I just had a lot of fun with those guys, uh, running around Michigan and making the documentary.
Congratulations, man. That's great news. So what got you into doing those books? I mean, what was the concept behind it? How did you start out thinking you wanted to do something like that? There's probably how many books? Probably like 10 or 11 of them.
Well, there's seven Mystic Michigan books. There's a Mystic Michigander. There's one called The Hidden Hand, that which is concealed by the mitten. There's two Cryptic Michigan books, and then there's one called The Telltale Earth, and that's it of the Michigan books. And then with the Starboard Quest books, there's Starboard Quest, Sailing the Sea of Sound to Explore Music's Connection to the Universe, and Starboard Quest Treasure Hunt, which is the latest. And everything can
Wow.
be ordered. All the books can be ordered on Amazon too, no matter where you're at, practically anywhere in the world. They'll send them right to your house.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I know you do a lot of traveling. Get that information out there. It's really cool. And now we have some here at the Mystical Awakening store. So been a big seller here. Yeah. So I guess we can talk about your music.
Sure.
You've been a musician for how long?
I've been a musician since I was about 15 years old. And I first started getting some airplay in Michigan when I was 17. And then had a lot of years where I really wasn't too involved with it. And just here recently, in the last few years, have come back and got into it again. So quite a long time I've been into it.
Yeah, you have, but you're doing well. This Starboard Quest project that you've been working on for how many years? When did you start that?
Well, the actual Starboard Quest book, the first one came out about a year ago. But
Okay.
Dave and Mark and I started working on the music, and of course we had Tom Wall as a guest as well
Hmm.
uh, on the album. We started about 3 years ago on it. Before that I was involved with other types of music projects and stuff over the years.
Yeah, and I want to mention Tom Wall a little bit here because you did a nice journal piece on him and his band Cosmic Knot,
Yeah,
and he plays elliptic music, which is he hooks little machines up to the plants, and they play music, and he plays to them. It's pretty cool. So if you get a chance, check that out. Yeah, he worked with you actually on some of your music, right?
yeah, he did. He actually was on one of the numbers on the album, the Symphonies and Stardust track. But he's been out in California. He I don't know if you've seen the video of him climbing the redwood tree and hooking the machines up to it, and
Yeah.
the redwood tree was making music and he was playing along with it. And I just heard from him the other day. He's on his way back out there again to do some type of a workshop or something like that out there.
So let's talk about your music. You've got some really cool songs, and the concept behind your music is that you you try to play in the 432 hertz, correct?
Yes, that's also called Pythagorean tuning as well.
Yeah, and folks, I mean, if you read the book, the both books, um, he gives a very detailed explanation of how music is very spiritual and how far it goes and what's involved in it. And so, I really recommend you check these books out. They're amazing. And what is the term Starboard Quest? How did that start? What does it mean?
Well, the Starboard Quest is actually the name of a symbolic ship. And on this symbolic ship are some of the greatest philosophers, astronomers, musicians, artists of all time. And the books kind of delve into the quest that has been going on throughout the ages to decipher the secrets of sound. So um, on the symbol, we have the Starboard Quest ship uh, by celestial navigation, navigating towards the constellation Lyra, which is a celestial harp in the heavens. And it's trying to, uh, all the other people be on board is kind of like the idea of those that have been on this quest throughout the ages. And now we're trying to move forward into a greater understanding of frequency, sound, and vibration.
Very nice. Now, I just got the okay from our producer to maybe play one of your songs. Is that okay? I'm going to play Zodiac Carousel.
Sure.
Okay, folks. This is one of his newer songs, his recent songs that he's done. Enjoy this. Go ahead, Bill.
a ride on. The world go round. I got caught up in the swirling sound. Climbed aboard the Zodiac carousel, spinning worlds have a tale to tell. Timely whispers of revolving light, circling through the darkness of the night. Zodiac carousel, stars that rose through skies that fell, lights that carried us home. People come and go like stars in the sky. Their lights grow dim as the years go by. Others maintain their heavenly glow, but there's something that the one and the all should know. I'll always love you, I'll remember you. I hope to meet you one day way beyond the blue, somewhere on the Zodiac carousel. Worlds that turned while space stood still. Love that carried us home. And when it's nearly over, I'll sit back and I'll think about the ride. And I know I'll always marvel at all the joy you brought me deep inside. All those years we shared on the Zodiac carousel. Zodiac carousel.
Uh-oh, we lost Mark. Oh, that was a beautiful song, man. Let's see. We can get him back in here. Well, technical difficulties, maybe. Let's see. I'll try to get a hold of him.
Yeah, it seems he dropped out, but I'm sure he'll be joining you again. That was a beautiful song.
It was, and you know, I've those recent ones, and you know, I've listened to all his music, and he, you know, I can see his progression now. It's just getting amazing. A lot of his songs he uses, you know, he uses crickets, he uses real space sounds, he uses all kinds of things to get. I'm trying to get him back in here.
And I think Deb was mentioning in chat that at the Michigan UFO conferences you guys have, that the music is played there as well.
Yeah, that song Deep Calls to Deep. It's all about Michigan and UFOs. It's pretty cool. It's one of my favorite songs by him.
Well, then why don't we play that now while we wait for him to come back in?
Okay, let's play that. You guys will love this.
All right, let me get it going, and here we go.
Hundreds of eyewitnesses observed a series of strange lights over Lake Michigan last night. The lights were seen over a 200-mile stretch and were also witnessed by law enforcement agencies. Researchers are baffled by the origins of the lights, which moved at
Wow, that song still gets to me, man. I love that song. Uh, you got to tell me what was the inspiration behind that?
Well, I actually had a very strange dream, and that's where that one came from. But it was a long time ago that I had the dream, probably
Right.
over 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And some of the actual words to the chorus came to me from it, and that's just bizarre. A lot of things are strange, but
Yeah,
that's what you like, right? You like that kind of stuff.
that's right. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
It's weird. Weird things inspire us, right? But that's to me, that's not weird. I love that song. That's great, and we do play it at the Michigan UFO Contact Convention, and we will continue to play it there. People loved it there. So, your first song was very beautiful too. I got to say, your new work is really amazing. Your vocals are outstanding, and the music. And what was the inspiration behind that song, the Zodiac Carousel?
Well, I've had a number of friends pass away in the last few years, and most recently, I heard several months ago that one of my really good friends from high school was only expected to live a few more months, unless something miraculous happened, which it could.
Yes.
Uh, and I had that on my mind a lot when I was recording that. Um, I think I had written it before, but then I heard this news, and it just kind of made it take on a new life for me. You know.
Hmm. Yeah. No, Mark, in a lot of your music, you use some very unique sounds and things. Like you use actually sounds from outer space, correct?
Yeah,
You
you just heard some of what sounds like musical instruments in the background are actually recordings that NASA made of actual the sounds that planets would make if planets could make sounds. For
mhm.
example, they had a plasma, some type of a plasma device, and they transposed what the vibrations would sound like if they were sound. And we incorporated them right into the recording. Um, the the kind of bizarre little percussion part that you hear in there is actually dactylictic hexameter, and
Oh, wow.
that was used by like Homer, the Greek poet, that type
Hmm.
of was. And they say that if you were to breathe just rightly, you know, according to that rhythm, that timing, you'd breathe exactly 25,920 times in a day,
Wow.
which would be the amount of years that it takes for our sun to complete its cycle through the entire zodiac, all the zodiac signs.
And I want to tell you this, all this stuff's in his books, so it's really cool when you start really realizing what music is and how it relates to everything else. That's really cool. Now, some other things you've used in some other your songs. I'm trying to remember here. The forest tells a secret. I know you use something. You use actual what
Well,
cricket sounds and
well, yeah, the forest told knows a secret is all about the whole universal sound of the entire universe and all of nature singing together. And in that song, we've got yeah, there's cicadas are part of the instrumentation of it. There's crickets. There's a bullfrog doing some bass parts. Of course, everything's
nice.
done in the Pythagorean tuning and everything. And we just try to make them interesting. We try to do something different than what a lot of people might do. So,
No, the Pythagorean tuning. Can you explain that a little bit to our audience?
well, that's just simply tuning the A to 432 hertz on your instrument, and then going accordingly uh, with all of the others, to tune them to that tuning as well.
Right.
And there are some who say that um, type of tuning corresponds better with the mathematical resonance of the universe.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's
Um,
all stuff on that. There's a lot of other 432 hertz music that you can hear as well.
yeah.
Uh, uh, a lot of people are doing it, especially on some of the instrumentals and such. But I haven't seen a whole lot of it and regular, more pop type music or anything like that. So
Yeah, because what was it, 1930s or 20s that someone decided we weren't going to do music in 432 hertz anymore? How'd that happen?
well, if you go online and look that up, there are a lot of people who actually think that it's a conspiracy. Supposedly, one of the Nazi officers that came to America and how they brought some of the Nazi scientists and stuff over to the United States after the war. And supposedly, one of these guys changed the standard concert pitch from 432 to 440 sometimes during that time. And there's a lot of people that think that um, the 440 tuning numbs us down and uh, makes us not be able to comprehend things as well. There's been similar talk about other things. Like here in the United States, I believe electricity runs on 60 cycles per second. But in England, they run it on 50 cycles per second. And then I've heard that the United States military, they have all their facilities operating at 50 cycles per second, and they say that makes people more alert at the 50 cycles, and the 60
Oh, wow.
cycles numbs people down a little bit, makes them a little bit incoherent um, to what they could be. So there's a lot of theories that go around, a lot of different things that people have said, and there's always going to be theories like that.
Yeah, it's there's also a theory that they brought over the fluoride to put in their water to kind of numb us down too. So uh, after the war, but there's a lot of things that go along with that. But getting back to your music now, uh, you have one song, and forgive me because I forget the name of it, but it starts out in the water. I know that, and you have different sounds under the water, and then it moves up. What is that song? Tell us about that one.
I think you're talking about the Symphony of Sonic Ascent.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's
the
it.
imagery of that song, you start down, it's kind of like an epic movie soundtrack type song. You start down at the bottom of the ocean, at the deepest depths, and there's watery sounds and things like that. And you've got some of the, for each of your energy centers of your body, there's supposed to be like three tones that kind of resonate with those particular centers. So we're starting at the lower centers, energy centers, and those vibrations are put right into the recording. And as the imagery of the song is rising up to the surface of the ocean, then you're going up through the atmosphere, and then you're in space, and then you're at the gates of heaven itself. We rise those frequencies in the background going all the way up. So if they want to know more
Yeah.
about the actual blueprints of the song, they can just go on the website, starboardquest.com. All the liner notes are on there that show all of these different elements that go into the different pieces. There's a lot to
Yeah,
explain.
right, and it actually goes through and explains everything that's happening during the song, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot in there, and probably too much just to give you too much detail. So if you just
Yeah.
look it up, you can see all the stuff that's in them. They sound just like regular pieces. You'd hear them and you'd think, oh, well, what's so different about that? Well,
Hmm.
you have to look at the liner notes because we construct these things in a certain way that you're not really going to understand till the liner notes are just as much a part of the song as the song itself, because it's kind of show that we have a new concept that we're putting all these elements in, all these microcosms, microcosms from the macrocosm into the songs. There's a lot of ciphers and kind of like secret messages in there. So that's what I recommend to do.
Right.
Just
A lot of
look up
hard work.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, a lot
not
of
like
hard
just
work, a
sitting
lot of
down
dedication.
it's not just sitting down and just letting whatever's going to come through. I know a lot of people like to do that. A lot of my friends like to write in that way. But if you look back at some of the things that different composers did over the years, um, a lot of the time they weren't just winging it. There was a lot of thought that went into it. And we're trying to kind of get back to that idea. I mean, I know other people have other ideas. Other people do other things. That's just kind of our niche.
Right. And now, in your first book, there's a lot of famous people in history in your book. that had to do with music. And on top of my head, I can remember a couple of them. But can you? I remember we did our first interview. I would kind of set it up that we were on a ship, and you were inviting these people on this ship, this Starboard Quest, and we were going on a sail musical, journey. But can you name some of the people that are in that book that had something to do with music?
Well, one of the really interesting people, he always comes up, is Pythagoras. He, of course, is known as people call him the father of music. But if you look in my new Starboard Quest book, Starboard Quest Treasure Hunt, you'll find out that Pythagoras studied in Egypt. And they say that basically Pythagoras learned a lot of the things that he learned about music from some of the Egyptian priests. The Egyptian priests, in turn, say that they got a lot of their musical ideas or learned a lot of what they know from a historic figure, kind of a mysterious figure. And you've probably heard of him before, Hermes Trismegistus. Have you heard of Hermes Trismegistus? The actual musical scale that we have, the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, if you look up those names in the Latin, what they actually mean, it's different levels of the heavens. It's like an ascension all the way to the new octave. And
different dimensions.
Yep. Yeah, well, see, the Pythagoras believed in something called the blessed eighth sphere. And he actually believed that was a place, that was a level, everything was vibrating at a different level as you go up to the different levels of the heavens and the universe and stuff. And when you got past the universe itself, you were into the blessed eighth sphere. And that was the region where there was the songs of all the different celestial beings and the angelic beings. So it's like the new octave,
Right. Yeah, that's I'm totally. We're losing ourselves here. Okay, we're back. Yeah, that's amazing, folks. If you're into music, which I am, obviously Mark is. These books really explain music in a different way that open your eyes to what it really means. I mean, it's universal. It's amazing.
Well, Robert,
now, your new book.
Oh, okay. Now,
go ahead.
Robert Flood.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Robert Flood created a conceptual musical instrument in the 1500s, and he made this really awesome diagram of a one-stringed instrument. And the bottom, it was a one-stringed instrument. The bottom of it was connected to the earth, and the top of the string was connected to the highest level of heaven. The bottom represented pure matter. The very highest part of the string represented pure energy. And the sun itself was an octave up from the earth and one octave down from the sun. And it was a place where neither matter nor energy predominate. It was like the halfway place between pure energy and the earth being pure matter. And it's just really interesting. And then Plato, the Greek philosopher, he had another instrument, kind of like a cosmic disc, kind of like a glass harmonica, like what Ben Franklin came up with. But this would have been years before Ben Franklin. And he seen a system of bowls, kind of all in set within them, they're going up. And he believed that there was sirens going around the edges of these bowls, okay, making a sound similar to when you take your finger and you run it around a wine glass, okay?
Right.
And each
or singing bowl.
They only believed in seven orbs at that time, including the sun and the moon. They also seen as planets, but they believed that each one of them represented a note of the music scale.
Right.
And in later years, Johannes Kepler, the great astronomer, took some of these different ideas that Pythagoras and Plato and some of these different guys had, and he kind of reinstated the whole idea about music of the spheres.
I wish I could have been around then and to hear their conversations while they were exploring this and coming up with this stuff back then in Egypt. That would be really cool.
Well, you can still get books by Johannes Kepler and some of these guys, so you can read what they had to say about it still. It's very interesting, but you'll find that it's kind of veiled in some obscure intellectual language that you have to read over quite a few times to catch what sometimes are simple concepts that they're talking about.
Mhm.
And the new book, Starboard Quest Treasure Hunt, which you can order through Amazon or Ingram or however you want.
Bill, could you bring that up again?
It's the Starboard Quest. Oh, did somebody say something?
No, the other one, Bill. That's the first one. This
Okay,
one
yeah.
here.
Now that's the new one right there.
Right.
And that is just examining a lot of the different thoughts that different people, all the Sir Isaac Newton and Johannes Kepler and things that Tesla said, and maybe even Albert Einstein is quoted, and different people, Hermes Trismegistus, all of the different a lot of the different Arab scholars, stuff that's found in the British Museum that relates to this, and a lot of it correlates to the Great Pyramid. There's just
Right.
a lot of stuff in there. If you like all this esoteric type of stuff,
I do.
I think it'd be a very cool book for people to study.
Well, you when you get around to it, you live about an hour and a half away, and when you get some of those books, bring them into the store here because I'm dying to read it, and plus, get those out to people. So let me know.
People can order them right now. All they got to do,
we're at.
just go on it. You can order them from any major bookstore in the world, practically any of the larger bookstores. Of course, through Amazon or Ingram, or just go to your local bookstore and just have them look it up, order it, or go online and order it. They'll send it right to your house.
Yeah, I'll get one. I just gotta get some time to do that. But I definitely want to read that because the first book blew me away. I loved it, and again, we did have a 2-hour interview about that book, and they can still see that, correct?
Yeah, I believe it's on the website or it's on the YouTube channel. There's a Starboard Quest YouTube channel.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's pretty fascinating. We had a lot of fun with that, and it's like you're on board a ship, a sailing ship, and he's the captain, and I'm asking questions, and we're sailing. That's very cool. By the way, the intro music to this radio program, the Mystical Awakenings, is his music too. So, and we appreciate you letting us use that. Thank you.
Sure. You're welcome.
So, tell me some more about this new book. What's
Well, one thing that's really interesting is you've heard of the cymatics instruments, right? That's you take it's like a little box and it's got a metal plate on it, and you scatter random grains of sand on it, and you send a vibration through it, and they will make geometrical patterns, right?
Yes.
Well, there have been different people going around the world with these devices at different places. And for instance, one guy was in the Great Pyramid, and he had a device like this. And when the vibrations from the pyramid or whatever started coming through this thing, they actually will arrange that sand in hieroglyphic shapes of the language that was used in that part of the world or in that culture.
Oh, wow.
And this guy was in the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid, and he ran this tone through there, and his hair stood up on his arms because the actual symbol that came across on this machine was what they call the double eye of God. And when they took it to the Egyptologist, the language experts, it wasn't any recent hieroglyphics. It was from a time when the kings ruled in Egypt before the pharaohs.
Right.
It was a symbol of a monotheistic God, of the monotheistic God. Not because in later years the Egyptians believed in a lot of different types of gods.
Right.
This was the sign of the one creator God. They didn't know it till they brought it to the people that studied the hieroglyphics, and they told them that that's what that was.
What was the name of the pharaoh that tried to bring back the monothesis idea? Oh gosh. Anyway, it didn't go so well for that pharaoh. They eventually ran him out of town and destroyed everything that he made, and went back to the gods, plural. I'm trying to remember Nefertiti's. Oh, Jesus, escaping me right now. But you remember that there was tried to bring that. You remember they were trying to bring back the just the one God, and
I don't recall that. I don't recall saying that.
I'll have
One
to.
thing that, oh, go ahead.
I'll have to. I'll have to come up with that. And show you. Anybody out there knows it, just put it up there. But yeah, that and a very strange looking pharaoh, by the way. Elongated skull and big eyes and very weird. But they tried to destroy everything, and the word was that when they kicked that pharaoh out, they went to England, and there's proof that they were in that area with the Celtics at one time. So
Okay, so you're talking about England, okay? They've gone to different tabernacles and temples and cathedrals and things like that. Some of the Gothic cathedrals in Europe, and there are patterns that they are finding on the walls in these Gothic cathedrals that they are just now recognizing are somatic symbols that are, the symbols that are produced by sound waves running them through a
Right.
somatic instrument. So they had a knowledge of this a long time ago. And a lot of what we're kind of studying and looking into is the mixing of light waves and sound waves and some of these different things. Well, Pythagoras and some of even the ancient Egyptians were combining sound and light and all these things many, many years ago. And like I say, the Greeks, it's known that Plato was in Egypt for 15 years. No, I believe it was Pythagoras was in Egypt for 15 years, but Plato was there also. And some of the great Greek philosophers studied in Egypt. And, the library at Alexandria was there at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And Clement from Alexandria, one of the early church fathers, he has witnessed, he writes in one of his writings that he's seen a procession in Egypt of something to do with Hermes Trismegistus, and they had 42 books of Hermes Trismegistus, and one of them was the hymns of the gods.
Mm.
And there is even people that go so far to say you can find this information in the British Museum to this day. I don't know if this is true, but there are some people say that when the white casing stones were on the Great Pyramid, there was stuff written on the outside of that from the base all the way up to the top. And it was
Wow.
the biggest library in the world. And they believe that a lot of the books that went to the library at Alexandria were copied right off of that. But there's no proof of them.
Right.
These are just claims that people made over the centuries. When some of the
Right.
Greeks went there, they said that even by the time the Greeks were going to Egypt, they could just barely see it. They really couldn't read it. But, who knows? There's a lot of things that people say. We don't
Yeah,
really
I
have
think
proof.
they use music for healing. Yep. Excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but healing and a light for healing and possibly to open up higher dimensions and with different types of frequencies. They were definitely into the divine science behind music for sure. And we're kind of rediscovering that today. We use sound for healing and light for healing. And so we're getting back to that. But I at one time, I think music was, or sound, just sound in general, was used for some very heavy duty things. Indeed.
Yeah, in fact, they find instruments from Egypt in different cultures around the world, and they discover that they were tuned to the 432 hertz tuning back into places like
Mhm.
Egypt, even like Tibet, I believe, and China, and all over the place. So somebody changed that somewhere along the line. So
Yeah.
I mean, but to go into the whole conspiracy theory behind it, you might want to just go online and look up, what people have already written about it. I haven't paid a whole lot of attention to that.
Yeah. Now, for folks out there, I know the sound's kind of breaking up here and there, but we're having a winter storm right now. It's going through. It's probably affecting our Wi-Fi. So I apologize for that. I'm probably breaking up, and Mark's breaking up a little bit, but I hope you're getting the gist of this anyway, because the Starboard Quest music project is really in depth, and if you love that kind of stuff, and if you love where the ideas behind music came from, and it's just not picking up an instrument and playing a 3-chord song. It was very, very well thought out, and they had a lot of purpose behind it for sure. So are you going to be in the studio anytime soon?
Well, Mark Cooper just contacted me the other day, and he's wanting to get going on something. He's wondering when I want to get going on something again. Yeah, I've got something I'm working on right now. You might wonder, that last one, the Zodiac Carousel, what was buried within that, right? Just to give you an example. Well, you see, when we do the timing for them, we try to lay them out in multiples of the 432. So
Right.
the beats per minute were set, I believe, at 216 beats per minute, which would be half of the 432. Where the second chorus comes in and the large choirs come in behind the second chorus, that was set up to come in at the golden proportion point of the song. There's a formula that you can use to lay everything out according to what they call the golden proportion. So on some of them we try to do that, which we did with that one. And then if you listen more closely to that again, we try to use all natural rhythms in there, right? Well, if you listen to the percussion when it first starts coming in, it's a little bit odd, it's a little bit different than maybe what you're used to hearing. We don't use a lot of driving, bass drums and things like this. But if you listen more carefully to that, you'll hear that is in kind of like a heartbeat tone as far as like the tonnage of it. But the actual rhythm itself are hoof beats. I mean, you might not even notice that, but if you go back and
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, that's the nature of this, that you listen to them and you're kind of wondering, well, this really doesn't sound like any that much different than too much I've heard. But they got all these little tweaks in them, and that's why you got to read the liner notes to actually see what has gone into them, and then the bigger picture begins to emerge. So they're kind of like, and I'm trying to maybe just create a mindset in people that music can be much more connected to the universe. In ancient China, they monitored the health of their providences they sent people around to listen to what music they were listening to. If they were playing dissonant, disharmonious music, they deemed that providence of the society as being like kind of out of cater and unhealthy and everything. And they had a belief that music needed to be closely connected to the mathematics of the universe, or in time their whole empire, their whole civilization would deteriorate. The Greeks had similar ideas. And Athens, for example, if music was deemed to be disharmonious, or dissonant, they could either be arrested and they could even be exiled out of the country.
Oh, wow.
For creating a dissonant piece of music. You kind of wonder, where has that type of thinking gone?
Well, Mark, I appreciate you being on tonight. We're getting close to getting word that we got to shut down here, but it's been awesome talking to you as usual. I can't wait to see you again. And folks, get his books, get his music. It's amazing stuff. If you're into music and what's behind it, how it really works, and the spiritual side of it, get a hold of Starboard Quest Music. Go to starboardquest.com, correct?
Yep, or go to the YouTube channel if you want to hear it. Any of the books that you want, go on any major bookstore or any major book network. They should be able to get you some.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Mark. I will see you soon. Don't come tonight or tomorrow because we're getting snowed in. So I'll see you soon. And when you come by, I can't wait to see you and talk some more music. Thank
All
you so
right.
much.
Yeah, take care of yourself. Thank you very much.
All right, hang on there. All right, thank you. And thank you for listening tonight. And remember, may all your awakenings be mystical. Thanks for listening.